what it means exactly, but for the benefit of the people who have not had a chance of doing that. Now, a conference paper is somewhat a shorter version of your research. Usually journal papers and conference papers, we talk about research. We are not going to do a research here, but we are going to do a kind of a project, so it will be a project report. Right? But research, why it is a research? Because it gives an output which is unique. You can't research things that are already out there. So you research something new. And when you do that, you want to make sure that others agree with you. So you somehow you prove it mathematically, or you do a simulation and prove it, or you do a survey and prove it, or whatever. There are plenty of mechanisms that you can use to prove your whatever the theory. And then you do your conference paper. Usually the conference, it depends on the conference of course, but it's usually about say 3 to 4 to 5 pages like maximum. But in a journal it's much more than that, it's more complicated and more comprehensive. Usually when we do 2 or 3 conferences, we can do a journal. It's a usual case. Why we do conference papers then? Researchers, they want to go and present themselves in front of the people who are doing similar kind of studies. That's why we do presentations in conferences to get some feedback. And before doing the presentation, they submit the paper to the conference organizers, and the conference organizers usually review it through experts, 2 or 3 experts. They share it with 2 or 3 experts, and the experts will comment on your report. And then you get the chance, if you pass, if you satisfy, if the reviewers are happy with what you have done, is it good or bad or new or unique or whatever, then they think that there is a value in this and they accept that paper to be presented in the conference. So then you have to do a final version of that. Maybe they would suggest you certain things, maybe certain assumptions that you have done in coming up the proof, maybe not valid or justify it better or whatever. And with that modifications, if you do little bit improvements and do the final version, they will accept it and they will publish the proceedings. So report will be published in a booklet, and then you will get a chance to present it to similar kind of professionals in the audience. And then you will get a lot of feedback. Now these kind of international conferences are very limited in a country like Sri Lanka, because we don't have much of research work happening in Sri Lanka. But in other countries, especially the developed world, they are doing a lot of research, and there are a lot of international conferences in almost every field. Once you do this conference, now it's usually a time period of, let's say, 4 to 5 months. What I mean by that is they publish this, that we are going to have a conference, and you can submit papers before this date, one particular day. And then they take about 1 or 2 months to review them and feedback, and then before the conference actually happens. So it's say, from the time you see the conference ad and presenting it in the conference, maybe it's about 4, 5, 6 months average. And journal paper is much more than that. Journal paper would take, if it is a good international journal, would take minimum 1 year. Most probably IEEE like quality journal, easily 1.5 years. From the day you submit it until the day you get it approved for publication. Which means you submit this paper. Now the paper is a full comprehensive one. You have to submit minimum of 8 pages, much maybe more. And then that will be reviewed by again 3 reviewers, experts in the field, and they will never ever accept your paper. If they accept it conditionally, which means they give lots of conditions for you to go through and improve. They take about 2 months to 3 months to review it, and they give you another 2 months to 3 months to respond to their reviews and their feedback, and then you submit your second submission. It could be even first time rejected also, then you are out. Then they would go through your paper maybe again for another month or 2, and then it could be again conditionally accepted, which means certain conditions you have met, certain not, so they send it back to you. Or it could be that you answered all their queries and they are happy about it. And then usually there is a marking scheme, waiting, It's not biased to anybody. Usually the reviewers, they don't know the writer, the author. Usually names are not given. So it's very independent thing. And the whole process would take easily over 1 year. But if you get a good publication, that's really good. That's how people get good thesis done afterwards, and then get a, say, master's or mostly PhD in a research-based organization, research-based university. So that's another academic side of it. I can remember when I started my PhD, I had to do a new topic. I didn't want to do what I did for master's, so I started to look for a topic. Looking for a topic is the hardest part. So it took about 10 months just reading. I never met my supervisor also. So I was just reading. I must have read at least 800 to 1000 research papers during that time, and summarized them. And then by the end of the 10th month, I was ready with a topic which I believe that this is a unique thing. There's an issue like this, I can solve this problem, and I had an idea how to do that. So that's how it took about, 3-year program, minimum 3 years program. It took about 10 months and maybe almost 1 year to decide what you are going to do. So it's not an easy task. You have to be focused on that. So that's a little bit about the research culture. Then ethics. So this is very important. Strongly I believe in Sri Lanka, most of the professionals are not really professional. Because we are not taught much about the ethics in our universities also. Therefore, I have experienced this also in Sri Lanka. Now if I say something, a professional opinion to somebody, and if that is not what they want to hear, then you're out. There are hundreds of people who would go and tell them what they want to hear, and so that's not professional. You can't have completely opposite like opinions on very common things. So people do these things because of personal benefits. So I would never do that. I am a professional. Therefore I work with, now if I take myself, I work with all the telcos. I work with all the telcos, and they are happy to share information with me. I do consultancy with them. I do training with them. I also work with all the integrators like Enable, MIT, CRIT, or you name others, KDSL, JIT. All these people I work on projects, and they all know that. Because they know that I will never go and while doing a project at Mobitel, I would never go and talk to Dialog people, at least what the Mobitel is doing and why not. We don't do that. They know that as well. So that's very important. So that's your basic ethics and your professionalism. So I used to do this while I was at TRC as well. That's one of the conditions I told when I was going there. When they asked me what I expect, I said I'm already working with the telco. I do training, I do some consultancies. So if you are going to stop me doing that, I'm not coming here. If you want me here, that's my only requirement. Let me do that, and I'll make sure that there is no conflict of interest. And I really make sure that won't happen. And the best example, the best certificate I got, one of the CEOs of one of the telcos called me the next day after I finished my contract with TRC and said, and he was new, he didn't know me. He just called me, I don't know how he found his number, because I was there in TRC only for about 3 months of his time. And he called me and said, Manada, I'm hearing a lot of good things about you, not from just our people, but from all the operators. And it's a bit strange for me, a TRC guy, hearing good things from all operators. That's what the CEO of one of the telcos told me. You can do that, because we are not biased to anyone. I have fought with all the operators. I must have shouted at some people also, saying that they are not doing the right thing, you are doing the wrong thing. But at the same time, for the same person, I have helped them when they are doing the right thing. So that's how you have to be professional. So those are the little things that we can do. Apart from that, I believe you can do those things when you are technically sound. That's one of the key things. That's why I want to be strong in technology. I am a telecommunication engineer, so I want to be one of the best in the world for me. So therefore, if you have that confidence, I think everything else falls with you. So which is why you all may be legal officers, marketeers, sales, whatever, technical or non-technical, doesn't matter. You have your scope. So you have to be the best person in that area. So you have to be, since you are in telco, you should know what you are doing in the telco science as well. And then, like I said, collaborations, very important, very important. I know certain professionals, of course, they collaborate while working for competitors, but in general, I have noticed that none of our operators work very closely with each other. Officers are friendly. I'm sure you know all the legal officers of the other telco, good friends in the same profession, but to collaborate in the sector, I don't think too many people are doing anything. They are not. You can't do that. You have to collaborate. At the same time, differentiate your product as well. So that's something very important. And more than anything else, be professional. So again, I'm just telling you that we'll make sure we'll come on time every day. I'm starting at 9 even with one person next time. And we'll finish, when I say 4:15, I don't finish at 4:17, it's 4:15, right? So when we stop for lunch 12:15, it's 12:15, not 12:16 for me. So it's like that. So you will see that over the time. I mean, that's what we expect. We have to respect the other's time as well. So this is just a bit of introduction before we start. You can always stop me, and you can always stop me and ask questions, whatever. If you don't understand something that I explain, obviously stop me and ask, and I will explain again and again in different ways and so on. So let's begin this. But first of all, let me show you the groups that I have. So these are the groups that I have created. Yeah.